So recently I had a thought, admittedly whilst crying into my bank statements, that van life can be kind of expensive. And I'm not even talking about the insurance, the road tax, the fuel cost, the cost of the van itself. I'm just talking about doing van life. I mean, just take our previous videos for example. The zip line, £90 each. The quarry carts, £40 each. Beamish, £30 each. And don't even get me started on the campsites. In fact, I did the maths, and throughout the 5 vlogs that we've posted on this channel so far, we have spent over £850 on campsites and activities alone. So it got me thinking, if we did a big road trip where we didn't spend any money on campsites or activities, what could we get up to? Well, that is what we're going to find out this weekend, as we're going to be heading up the west side of Scotland with a budget of £0 in the hopes of reaching our end goal, which is the second largest island in Scotland, the Isle of Skye. Now, of course, that's not entirely true because we still have to pay for fuel, we have to have food, but every meal we have is going to be cooked in the van. We're not going to stay at any campsites, and everything that we get up to along the way is going to be for free. So this video is in no way trying to set any unrealistic expectations and pretend that you can do van life completely for free, because you simply can't. But there's a whole world out there for us to explore, and we want to prove that you don't have to spend a bunch of money on activities to have a great time. So that's what we're going to do. Right, so the clip you just watched was actually from yesterday, because after a long drive, we finally got to our park up in the pitch black and just called it a night. We made it, which now brings us here, a beautiful location just outside of Glasgow.
When I'll be coming home, I wanna see you play.
And this is where the journey really begins, because we've got 14 locations that we want to tick off before we reach our end goal, a location that we've wanted to visit for so long, the Isle of Skye. But of course, baby steps, so without further ado, we need to get to our first location. And that is exactly what we did. We started heading up north, we parked the van, and then made our way into the woods. And also, you might be able to notice, I bought a new drone. I'm sure absolutely nothing can go wrong with it. But before we get to that, we did in fact make our way into the woods, and we were on the search for some stairs down. I think from where we want to get to, we're still like 10 minutes away. But eventually, we found the stairs, or lack thereof. So this is where the stairs start. They seem to be alright at first, and then they just don't become stairs anymore. It's more just like rocks, and you gotta figure your way down. It's also very slippy, it's been raining. Emily's not very comfortable going down, so we're not actually going to go down, but I'm going to take the drone down so you can see, and we can actually see from an aerial view.
No wonder it's called the Devil's Pulpit. It's because if you fall down those stairs, you're going straight to hell.
You're probably not wrong. But without further ado, this is the Devil's Pulpit. A bit of a scary name, it must be said, but apparently it comes from the myth that the devil would stand here to address his followers as the red water swirls around his feet. Oh, and also you remember a minute ago when I said that nothing can go wrong with the drone, and you might notice that this footage clearly isn't shot on a drone? Let me explain.
Now it's too late to regret it.
I am such a fucking idiot. So obviously I said, gonna fly the drone. Smash the thing. Just being lazy. Like I said, I was gonna go up and over and come down, and I thought, oh, you know what, I'll just fit through this fucking small gap and take it down. Idiot. So stupid. I don't know why I fucking decided to do that, and now I'm seeing the consequences. Fucking, I just bought this as well, by the way. It's a brand new drone. Oh, if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
I say I'm sorry. You come and hug me, but I know that it's all in my head.
Whose bright idea was it to fly a drone in a place literally called the Devil's Pulpit? I'll tell you, it was my idea. A stupid one at that. But you know what? The only saving grace here is that I've checked, and we have the footage of the crash, meaning there's a funny part for the video. I would be even more angry if, like, I went back and saw that the footage didn't save, and then I've just got no footage to show and no drone. On the bright side, we have also brought, like, a smaller drone that's not very good in, like, high winds, so I don't know how much I'll be able to use it here. We have got, like, a bit of a better drone than that at home, but that was, like, the good one that I've just bought, and it tracks vehicles, and I was going to get some really cool shots of the van driving, and now I can't do that. It's so frustrating, but We'll get it fixed when back home.
The devil is a lie.
The devil is a lie. But you know what? It's fine. We'll carry on our journey. Now, luckily, our minds were quickly took off the heartbreaking loss as we saw the beautiful views of the Scottish Highlands.
I'm dancing with the shadows on the bedroom wall. Silhouettes of memories that I can't recall. Trying to be ready for the cause. Trying not to fall. Ready for the landfall.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say Scotland might be the most beautiful country I've ever been to. And I've been to Scotland before. In fact, my dad's Scottish, so a lot of my family live up here. When you go past like the cities and you actually go into the Highlands, wow. I mean, just to give you perspective, this is currently where we're parked. This whole journey up here has just been beautiful. And see, here's the van here. But one thing I will say is long drives don't feel as long when you have this scenery around you. The scenery's been like this for, I don't even know how long at this point, like the 2 hours that we've just been driving. Unreal. Now, even though we had all these beautiful views around us, we just couldn't help but notice that everything seems to be going wrong.
We can't put the thingy on the windscreen like we usually would to film because it's falling off because everything's just going wrong today.
So, smash the drone, granted, my fault. But then Emily's phone just started playing up, like the screen went completely black, so we thought that broke. Then I just went to put my camera on the usual mount that we have on the windscreen. And it fell off. Yeah. And I thought I broke the camera for a second. I was like, what? Like, everything is going wrong. Everything that could possibly go wrong is going wrong. But on the bright side, we're in a beautiful location. This is actually specifically Glencoe. And there's a few little stops we want to make in Glencoe. The next one actually being a location that was in James Bond, Skyfall to be exact. So do I go out there?
No, I'd go out here. I don't want to break any rules today because clearly
yes,
it's not a good day. Anyway, my arm's really, really hurting now. I'm not used to being the mount for this camera, so I'm gonna put it away before my arms fall off.
And speaking of things going wrong, who on earth put this piece of fluff on my chin in the next clip? So not only is technology failing us, I've also been ambushed by cotton. Yeah, it's really not my day. We've pulled up to the Skyfall location, as it's kind of dubbed now. And I mean, this would be a lovely place to sleep. Let me just show you the view right outside the door. So here we have the van. Imagine you're just chilling, maybe making food. And right outside your door, you've got this for a view, which, I mean, isn't really bad, is it? You got this lake here as well.
It's not a lake.
What is it?
This is like a stream.
A stream? Is that not just a lake?
No, a lake's not moving. This is moving.
Oh, sorry, I don't know my lake terminology. And once we clarified that this is in fact not a lake, we then decided to recreate the scene from Skyfall, which in hindsight does look a little bit nerdy, but we enjoyed it, okay? Just let us off. But then, of course, we headed off to our next location, which is actually in reply to a comment on one of our videos, where they said that the UK doesn't have any mountains. Yes, Montana, I am looking at you. So this is Ben Nevis.
Wow. It's the bottom of Ben Nevis.
Yeah, the bottom of Ben Nevis. We are not climbing that. I think I googled it. I can't remember what it said, but I'm sure it said it's like 6 or 7 hours each way. We don't really have time for that.
Or energy.
Or energy, yeah.
Or
We just don't want to do it. But for those of you who don't know, Ben Nevis is the largest mountain in the UK. And if you wanted to find a mountain that was taller than it, you would have to go all the way to Norway. So all you people...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It doesn't look that high.
Yeah, it's pretty big. So all you people who comment on our video when we're in Wales saying the UK doesn't even have mountains, why don't you come to Europe to see some mountains? We do have a mountain. His name's Ben Nevis, and he's right over there. So how do you like them apples? Oh, God, I've never said that before.
Oh.
It doesn't really sound good in my voice, does it?
I don't know why you said that.
Oh, Jesus Christ, we're getting attacked by a tree. There's a million leaves falling on us all of a sudden.
Get off me!
Oh no! It's a ladybug.
It was orange?
Orange, it's Scottish ladybug. I tell you what, right, it is absolutely boiling. And all we've heard is that Scotland, really bad weather, you know, it's even colder than England, could you believe it? It is roasting. Are you okay?
I don't like this bench.
So then after we captured the closest we will ever get to climbing Ben Nevis, I mean, look, we are buzzing with that accomplishment. We then proceeded on our journey up to the Glenfennan Viaduct from Harry Potter. Or at least that was the plan. You see, when we got there, it was absolutely heaving. There was no chance that we were going to get in there, but we did get this clip off the track that doesn't actually appear in the movie, so I guess that's gonna have to do. Which of course meant our time spent driving without a stop was gonna be a lot bigger, so we decided to keep ourselves entertained by reading the names of the Scottish lochs.
What's this loch called?
Well, according to my map, this is Loch Lockie. Whoever like named the lochs must have had like, his son was like 3 years old. He was like, what do you want to call it? And the kid was like, Loch Lockie. He was like, okay, we'll do that.
Oh, this was the last one. Oh, you know what? Fuck it. Loch Lockie.
And speaking of lochs, we then found ourselves at probably the most famous loch in the world in Loch Ness, but was still more interested in some amusing names.
Le Boat.
But enough of the funny business. It was now time to make some money.
Do you reckon they'll notice if we like just Photoshop a Loch Ness monster in? We could make some big money off that, you know? Look, he's right there! Can you believe it?
You can totally see how this would be the loch for the Loch Ness monster because it's so misty and scary.
Camouflage.
And I shouted at you, it's got waves.
It does have waves, that is correct. So you reckon he's just chilling somewhere in there?
It's a girl.
Loch Ness monster?
Yeah.
Is that been proven?
Yeah.
Oh, Nessie, yeah, that makes sense actually.
You named my daughter after the Loch Ness monster.
So, fun fact of the day, Loch Ness is 23 miles long. Bet you didn't know that. And did you also know there has been over 1,200 reported sightings of the Loch Ness monster, and somehow none of them are proved if he exists? Yeah, I think some people have probably got the same idea as us. We want the money. But yeah, I mean, in the distance, you can see just how foggy it is. So he could be hiding. You never know. Maybe she can work out when people are coming and she's like, right, fog, need the fog. Or maybe the fog follows her so she can hide. These are things you have to think about. No, but in actual all seriousness, it is just kind of like a big lake, but it's got a big story behind it, so it feels better.
Now, unfortunately, we didn't make any money, but as you can see, we had a lovely time. And at this point, it was actually starting to get late, so we decided to try and look for somewhere to sleep for the night, and we really wanted to have a good view, and I think it's safe to say, we hit the jackpot.
Right, so we might have just found the goat spot. This is probably, I mean, it is the best spot we've stayed in, like, yet. I mean, right, so here's the van, and then if we turn around, this is our view. We are so high right now.
Clouds over the mountain.
I know, it's actually so beautiful. It kind of looks like snow, but it's not. It's just clouds going over the mountain. Come on, then. Parkour. Whoa! Right, let's have a look what we're dealing with here then. Wow, it's so quiet here as well. But this is our view. I mean, come on. Does it get much better than that? I mean, we ignored these two things here, right? If they weren't here, it'd be a lot better. But still, very picturesque. You'd see this on Pinterest, I reckon. And then right behind me is our spot for the night. At the minute, there's no one here. That might change. But it was a bit of a trek to actually get up here. You've got to be, like, climbing up the hill for quite some time, and there was a spot like a little bit further down that people were at. I think there was like 2 camper vans there, and we were like, oh, should we go a bit higher and see if we can get a spot? We got a spot. Yeah, I think it's fair to say at this point, van life in Scotland, a lot better. And it's a bit mad, right? Because obviously the concept of this video is not spending any money on the activities and the campsites and everything. We haven't spent a single penny, but we've had such a good time. And it mainly is just kind of seeing how beautiful this country is. And whenever I've been to Scotland before, always went up to like Glasgow or Edinburgh, never went past it. Once you go past it, it gets better and better and better the higher you go up.
And at this point, we just decided to chill and take in the view, set up for the night, and it was then time to go to sleep.
As you can see, Emily is all cozy in bed. I've just put the Anthony Joshua Dubois fight on. Gonna watch that in bed in just a second. And it's time to lock up and chill out for the night.
Wow, what a view for the morning. I don't think it gets much better than this. So it's currently 7 o'clock in the morning, which would usually be quite hard for me, but when you wake up and the first thing you see is a view like this, makes it a little easier. And another thing that makes it easier is the fact that today we're going to be going to the Isle of Skye, which is a place that we've wanted to go to for so long. It's the second largest island in Scotland, although it's only 50 miles long. And some of the scenery there looks beautiful. I'm hoping we keep with the theme that it's just kind of getting better and better as we go on here. But yeah, I don't know if you can tell by my body language, it's a bit cold this morning. You know, hopefully the sun comes out a little bit later, but I need to get back inside the van, okay? Right, cheers. And once the sun came out, we got ready for the day, soaked in the views just a little bit more, and we headed off to the Isle of Skye. Or at least the Isle of Skye was going to be the next place we visited until we ended up driving past this castle, which as you can see was absolutely beautiful. You know, the spirits were well and truly raised until I saw someone flying their drone next to me, and I was reminded of the disaster that happened the day before. But I soon got over it again, and now we were actually heading on our way to the Isle of Skye. So we have made it to Portree, which is a town in the Isle of Skye, out of the way of everything. Like, so when you first get on the Isle of Skye, there's a few little towns here and there, and then there's just kind of nothing for quite a long time, like about an hour, which I mean is quite a long time in a small island. And then there's Portree, which by the way has a population of 10,000 people. Yeah, so that's not entirely true, because what I was supposed to say was the Isle of Skye has a population of 10,000 people, and Portree has a population of around 2,300 people. That's it, it's a small little town, and it is stunning. I mean, we've managed to get parked here, just random lay-by, and look at the view outside it. I mean, I would love to spend the night here. Unfortunately, we're not, because we have to start working our way back down, but I mean, look at this. This is the view from our van. Actually beautiful. And in fact, if you just walk a tiny little bit up the road, I think you get a better view of it, a more open view. But there was no parking allowed at this part, so obviously didn't stay there, you know, law-abiding citizens. But yeah, I mean, you need to take a look at this. I don't know how well you can see as well, but these houses here, where it's like a pink, yellow and white one, there's also a blue one just behind where you can't really see. These are some famous houses. Every picture you see of Portree, it's these houses. And then obviously just in the distance is all mountains again, where there is no town, no one's living in these areas. It is strictly over here. And after we got a shot of us pretending that we didn't know the drone was recording, we headed into Portree to see what it was all about. Now, I'm not sure what I was expecting. It is just kind of like your standard UK town, like a small town. We did see a lot of classic cars throughout the whole of the Isle of Skye, actually. Can someone please explain why there's so many? But of course, we had to make our way over to the colourful houses that look like they're from Balamory, and it turns out they're not actually houses. They're like bars and restaurants and stuff. But you know what? Still great just the same. Right, well, we're on the way back to the camper van. It was lovely, you know. It is just kind of like a small town. There are a lot of camper vans here, like a ridiculous amount. There's more camper vans than there is houses, it seems. So it is quite busy, and when you consider the fact that it's obviously a small town, it does feel a little crowded. That's the only negative, but you know what? Glad we came, wanted to see it, and now on to the next. On to the next indeed, as we made our way to our next location, had some food, freshened up a little bit, and then I went on to make an observation that some Americans watching this might think is a little bit stupid. Okay, so we have just arrived at Melt Falls, I believe it's called. As you can see, we're in the middle of nowhere. I was just saying to Emily, this kind of reminds me of like what I imagine America to be like, in a much smaller way, clearly, right? But the Isle of Skye is just kind of like little town, then nothing for ages. Then you get like something else that you can kind of park at, then there's nothing for ages, and there's just like the odd house here and there. Like, I mean, look, there's one house over there. I don't even know where I'm pointing here. But basically what I'm trying to say is that's how I imagine America, like between states, you know, in the parts where there's not much. Yes, you heard that right. I just compared the landscape of a tiny island in Scotland to the entirety of the United States of America. It's a little bit dumb in hindsight. But either way, we got to the viewing point for Melt Falls, took a look at the North Sea, and jokes aside, this place is genuinely beautiful. Okay, Melt Falls is ticked off the list. We were looking for the waterfall for ages, and I was like convinced that it wasn't there because I couldn't see it. And I was like, wait, why is everyone pointing the camera in this direction? Finally saw it. Turns out my vision is just awful, apparently.
This waterfall's been so funny because Callum's been calling it Meat Falls. And then we got to the actual waterfall, and it's the quietest waterfall in the world. She's so shy.
Yeah. I think to be fair though, like, won't it depend on like weather and stuff? Like,
how loud
Every
it gets.
waterfall I've ever been to, it's that like much of a drop has been like so loud.
She was just being polite. There's nothing wrong with that. So this is officially the most north that we will be in this trip, but also the most north we have ever been in this country. In my life. The air feels fresher, but also the water is so much more blue here. Like, I didn't realise the difference, but I guess it does make a big difference when there isn't, like, loads of people shotting rubbish into a lake or a stream, whatever it is. And we're also going to go down to, like, the west side of the Isle of Skye, like the southwest side. There's a couple of places we want to visit. And then we're going to be heading back home. I think if we could have done anything differently, it would have been that we spent more time in, like, certain areas rather than, like, rushing through places. But still, it's been really good, and we wanted to go to the Isle of Skye, and it's been nice to be able to tick off places kind of, like, as we worked our way up, rather than just driving straight there.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely felt like a road trip, but our next one will be longer than 2 days.
Yeah, we're going to start doing some longer ones, so if you're interested in that, then let us know in the comment section down below. We want to do Europe, we want to go down south in the UK, like towards Cornwall, so like really south.
Yeah, maybe get a nice sunburn.
Sunburn.
I don't tan.
But yeah, I think without further ado, we'll head down towards the southwest of the Isle of Skye.
Or at least that was the plan, until we saw something on our journey that we couldn't help but stop for.
We've just stopped on the way because Emily has saw her dream animal, a Highland cow. She's already gone, wasting no time.
I mean, if you've seen any of our other videos, you would already know that this is something that Emily would be very excited to see.
I'm so happy. It was 3 as well.
But once Emily's Highland cow dreams had been fulfilled, we then headed to our next location, which unfortunately didn't really go to plan.
Our next point in mind was Dunvegan Castle, I believe it's pronounced. Now, we've got here and realised you have to pay, which defeats the concept of this video. So I thought, you know what, we'll carry on driving, see if we get a better view. We can see it. I mean, to be honest, I'd like to think that it probably does look better up close, because I probably would have paid to go and see that. But we've seen it at least. There's another thing ticked off.
Well, it was now time to go to our final destination, which was Neast Point, and what was supposed to be a nice, peaceful last journey to our final destination actually ended up becoming a 2-hour journey with a ton of traffic, which I think it's fair to say wasn't exactly the most enjoyable.
Basically, to get to this point of the Isle of Skye, which I'm assuming isn't used as much based on the roads. It's basically just roads for one car with like passing lanes, so you're kind of used to it if you drive in the UK. But it's going on forever, and there's so many cars. And then on top of the cars, you've got these sheep who are willing to go on the roads. Here we are, trying to pass cars. Actually, this is the easiest place to pass because it's space for fun.
And then on top of the sheep, you've got massive potholes.
Oh yeah, the roads are not even. This is how it goes like every 10 seconds basically. Cars come, we need to make room, or vice versa. Then squeeze through, then we go.
But once we finally made it past the traffic, we then reached our last location.
We finally made it to what we think is Neast Point. I mean, there is a massive line of camper vans here, so I would assume it is. This will have to be pretty spectacular to make that trip worth it, because that was honestly a stressful drive. But we'll see how it goes. I think one thing that's clear that we've figured out from this is that in our trips in the future, we're not going to solely look and like Google activities, like what can you do in certain area, because usually you got to pay. Do a bit more research, see what there is nature-wise, see what you can go and see for free, and you might see some of the most beautiful places like we've done in this video. So I feel like we've learned a very good lesson. That and don't fly your drone in the devil's pulpit. But I preferred the first lesson personally. But I think we have proved that you can not spend any money on activities and campsites and have a beautiful time.
Yeah, be outdoorsy.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, look where we've ended up here. This is actually stunning. And now the bit that you aren't going to see is that we have like a 9.5-hour journey back home, which is going to be lovely. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. And until the next one, goodbye.